Transportation Secretary Anthony Fox recently announced that the Department of Transportation would make a $4 billion investment in autonomous technology. In fact, the technology is pretty much ready to go, but the main roadblock is actually government regulation. And with it comes all the questions surrounding liability. Here to talk about that is attorney James Goodnow. He's an expert on technology and on product liability issues. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Danielle. Good to be here.
Now, in driverless car situations, who is responsible when it's all said and done? The driver, technology, or the manufacturer?
Good question. The answer is it depends. If there's an accident today, the real question will turn on who's responsible. Was the accident a function of driver error, where the human made a mistake, or was it something defective with the hardware, the software? If it's the latter, then at that point, any lawsuit, any litigation would involve the product maker, whether it's Google or whether it's Volvo or any of the other players in the game right now.
And how will these potential liabilities be analyzed?
Well, really, the key question in a product liability case is, could the product have been made in a different, more safe manner? And that's really the analysis. So you look at the software, you determine from an engineering perspective, did all of the safeguards that could have been enacted get enacted? And if the answer is no, that's when you see a company that's on the hook.
Now let's talk a little bit about insurance. How and will an accident involving driverless cars impact an individual's insurance rates?
Well, there's a short-term answer to that and a long-term answer. In the short term, expect insurance rates to drop. The simple reality is that 95% of accidents are caused by human error. So if you take the humans out of the equation, theoretically, the roadways should be safer. Fewer accidents means lower rates. In the long run, though, that's going to be problematic for the insurance industry. And I would expect to see an overhaul of the way the insurance system works. And there are different ways to do it and lots of ideas at this point. And it's all one big traffic jam, if you will, on the legislative side.
Now, do you expect manufacturers to adopt a full liability approach?
Right now, most makers of autonomous cars are saying they will adopt a full liability approach. But the devil's in the details. What exactly does that mean? So you can say you're going to accept fault, but the real question turns on payout. How much money will be paid out for these accidents? Will it be analogous to what we see in our current tort system when individuals are sued? So right now, we're only hearing half of a proposed solution, and we need to know more about how the mechanics of the payout will work until we can evaluate it further.
So you're saying insurance rates could actually go down, but if manufacturers do adopt a full liability approach, will car prices increase?
Unclear. This is where you're going to see the intersection of technology, insurance, and the law. And right now, it's an open question. If you see a framework developed where the government steps in, you have some sort of pooled risk where people pay in a no-fault system, which is very similar to what we see in the eastern states, then you could see car prices stay flat or increase a little bit. If, however, liability is pushed on the manufacturers through product liability claims, then it certainly is possible that that could raise prices even more on vehicles.
Now, if we see, say, autonomous vehicles on the road, sharing the roads with traditional cars, will they have different sets of rules and regulations?
Probably yes. There's no doubt that we are entering right now a transition period. There's going to be as much as a decade or more where you're going to have traditional vehicles on the road with these self-driving cars. And as long as that exists, you're going to have two frameworks in place to deal with both situations. And it's going to be interesting to see how those overlap. Right now, we have a very defined system that's developed over lots of years. And at the same time, you're going to have a brand new system of laws. There's no doubt we're going to have a lot of kinks to work out.
Right. Do you have any predictions for, say, cell phone use?
Good question. I do have a prediction. I don't think it's going to be allowed anytime soon. Think about the airline industry. Right now, planes essentially can be flown on autopilot mode. Yet the regulations don't allow the pilots to sit back and drink or text. You need to have someone there to take over in case of an emergency, and it's no different on the roadway. If you look at recent statistics, there are over 1 million people killed globally from car accidents, and you have 20 million injured. So right now, you're going to see a cautious approach from lawmakers. I think it's highly unlikely that you'll see texting and driving in autonomous vehicles anytime soon.
All right, we've got about 20 seconds left. Is technology moving faster than the laws, and what implications could that have?
Absolutely. Right now, driverless car technology is moving at lightning speed, and the legislative slide is moving at a snail's pace. This is a big problem. Right now, I think what needs to happen is the tech industry needs to have time to develop the technology further before we start legislating. Think about the old VHS versus the betas. If you had legislation that said we're going to have betas, we live in a different world. You have to have the technology unfold and mature at its normal clip before you have the laws come in place.
All right. James Goodnow, he was named one of the techiest lawyers in America by the American Bar Association Journal, and I can see why. You also chair the Technology and Cybersecurity Torts Practice Group at Lambert Goodnow. Thanks so much for lending your expertise today. It was great to have you on.
My pleasure. Thanks, Danielle.